Emily pushed open the door and saw her younger sister, Sophia, in the arms of her fiancé, Jason. Both were disheveled, and the scene was all too revealing. Jason turned his head and, seeing Emily standing there, scrambled off the bed, frantically picking up his clothes. Sophia clutched the blanket to cover herself, her face a mix of embarrassment and fear.
Emily, it's not what you think.
Ignoring Jason, Emily walked straight to Sophia.
Is this your way of getting back at me?
Sophia, a year younger than Emily, had always competed with her in everything. Emily never imagined she'd go so far as to take her fiancé of 3 years.
Sis, I'm sorry. But Jason is innocent. Please don't break up with him, okay?
Sophia's lips curled into a slight smile, revealing her act. Jason, unable to see her expression, felt even more moved and rushed over to grab Emily's hand, bowing his head in apology.
Emily, please.
Emily shook off his hand with disdain and left the room without another glance at him. Behind her, Jason's voice comforted Sophia. I walked down the street, unable to hold back my tears. The scene from moments ago replayed in my mind. Jason, the fiancé my parents had chosen, handsome, wealthy, and attentive, had betrayed me. For 3 years, he was my rock. But now, he was with my sister.
How could he do this? How could she?
Before I knew it, I found myself at a bar. I rarely drank, but today I got completely drunk. As I was drinking, a familiar voice came from behind me.
Hey there, want some company for a few drinks?
It was my colleague Michael. He was very handsome, standing at 6 feet tall and single. Although we rarely interacted, I grabbed his arm and made him sit down to drink with me. He seemed surprised by my actions but picked up a glass and sipped his drink. We didn't say a word until the drinks were finished.
Did your fiancé cheat on you?
My body stiffened, and I let out a bitter laugh.
You guessed right.
I was just making a wild guess. I didn't expect to be right. Weren't you two about to get married?
The wedding date between Emily and Jason was set for 3 months later. Many colleagues at the company knew about it, including Michael. With a bitter smile, Emily said,
Don't mention him in front of me. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other.
Her words made a strange look flash in Michael's usually calm eyes. He stared into her eyes and carefully asked,
Are you serious? You two were clearly...
Emily raised her hand to stop him from continuing.
But, Emily, you seemed so happy together.
Emily knew their relationship had always been ordinary. Jason was self-centered, often disregarding her feelings.
Only a fool would choose to stay with a man like that.
Michael's lips curled into a smile, and he leaned closer to her.
Do I have a chance?
Emily, emboldened by the alcohol, stared at his face. He was more handsome than Jason, with a sunny disposition that made people feel at ease.
No chance.
That night, Emily didn't go home. Michael took her to a hotel and, after making sure she was settled, closed the door and left. She slept until morning, collected herself, and went to the office, ready to forget everything from the previous day. But at the entrance of the company, she saw a familiar figure. It was the last person she wanted to see, Jason. Emily walked straight to Sophia, ignoring Jason entirely.
Is this your way of getting back at me?
Sophia, Emily's younger sister by a year, often competed with her. Despite being less accomplished, she always sought to match Emily in every way. Emily never imagined it would go as far as taking her fiancé of 3 years.
Sis, I'm sorry. But Jason is innocent. Please don't end things with him, okay?
Sophia's lips curled into a slight smile, a gesture hidden from Jason's view. Her act of taking all the blame made Jason feel even more moved. He gave Sophia a grateful look before rushing over to grab Emily's hand.
Emily, I'm so sorry. Please, let's talk.
Emily shook off his hand with disdain and left the room, ignoring his pleas. Behind her, Jason's voice could be heard comforting Sophia. I didn't spare Jason a glance. Instead, I walked straight to Sophia and calmly said,
Is this your way of getting back at me?
Sophia, my younger sister, was always competitive. She wanted everything I had, but I never imagined she would take my fiancé of 3 years.
Sis, I'm sorry. But Jason is innocent. Please don't break up with him, okay?
Her lips curled into a slight smile, revealing that she was still acting. From his angle, Jason couldn't see her expression. He felt even more moved and gave Sophia a grateful look before rushing over to grab my hand.
Emily, please, forgive me. I made a mistake.
I shook off his hand with disdain. Without another glance at him, I left the room. Behind me, I could hear Jason comforting Sophia. Jason finally left. As he did, a smug smile played on his lips. The look in his eyes suggested that he already considered me an easy prey. The wedding was set for next week, a decision made jointly by the Johnson family and the Smith family. I didn't expose his infidelity in front of Mr. and Mrs. Johnson because the person he cheated with was my own sister. Regardless of who seduced whom first, the only ones to lose face would be the Smith family. Sophia's eyes gleamed with schadenfreude, as if she were the biggest winner in this situation. I said nothing and returned to my room, my mind replaying the scene from a month ago. That day, I accidentally saw Sophia with Daniel. Daniel was a notorious playboy with a shady past. He had pursued me for a while, causing much trouble in my life and work. After I sternly rejected him and scolded him several times, he finally gave up. When I saw Sophia with Daniel, her face was unusually flushed. I suspected she had been secretly drugged. So, I followed them discreetly until they entered a hotel together. I went to the front desk and got a key to their room. When I opened the door, both of them were visibly stunned. They hadn't expected me to have a key. At that moment, Daniel was on top of Sophia, his hand already inside her blouse. They froze in their actions.
Emily, what do you mean by this? You won't let me be with you, and now you want to stop me from being with someone else?
I glared at him coldly, then turned my gaze to Sophia. She hadn't expected me to show up at this moment either. After a brief moment of panic, she regained her composure and wrapped her arms around Daniel's neck.
Daniel, do you like me or that pretentious woman?
He responded with a passionate kiss. They kissed fervently in front of me, and I felt a deep sense of disappointment in my sister.
What, can't bear to leave? If you want to watch, I'll give you a good show.
Daniel suddenly grabbed Sophia's clothes and tore them off roughly. Sophia hadn't expected him to be so forceful and let out a surprised cry but didn't stop him. I could no longer remain calm and spoke to Sophia carefully.
Sophia, you need to think about the consequences of this. He doesn't truly love you, one day, he will abandon you.
Do all men only love you?
I knew she wouldn't listen to anything I said, and staying there was pointless. As I turned to leave, I heard the sounds of their passionate encounter from the room. I knew Sophia would regret this one day. Emily walked straight to Sophia, ignoring Jason entirely.
Is this your way of getting back at me?
Sophia, Emily's younger sister, always had a competitive streak. Though never as accomplished as Emily, she yearned to match her in every way. But taking her fiancé of 3 years was beyond what Emily had imagined.
Sis, I'm sorry. But Jason is innocent. Please don't break up with him, okay?
Sophia's lips curled into a slight smile, hinting she was still acting. Jason, unaware of her expression, felt even more moved by her supposed selflessness. Rushing over, he grabbed Emily's hand and bowed his head in apology.
Emily, please forgive us. Let's talk this through.
Emily shook off his hand with disdain and left the room without another glance. Behind her, Jason's voice could be heard comforting Sophia. That evening, Emily arrived at the hotel where Daniel and Sophia had stayed before. Daniel was already waiting inside, excitement evident on his face.
Emily, just spend this night with me, and I promise I won't bother you again from tomorrow.
Did you bring the photos and videos? I hope you're not trying to deceive me.
They're all here. You can check them first.
Emily waved her hand, signaling there was no need to check, and they could start right away. Daniel lay down on the bed while Emily went to take a shower. After about half an hour, Daniel grew impatient and urged her to come out quickly. Emily waited another 10 minutes before stepping out, wrapped in a towel.
Why are you still pretending to be innocent at this point? You're just a lowly person.
Daniel, you better show me some respect.
Daniel glared at her fiercely, anger rising.
Not respectful enough? Fine, I'll show you respect now.
He lunged at her again, holding her tightly. Just as he was about to make a move, the door burst open. Several police officers and the hotel receptionist stood at the entrance. Daniel's expression changed as he realized this was a trap. He was taken away by the police on charges of unauthorized entry into a woman's room, coercion, and inappropriate behavior, along with his camera and photos. Later, Daniel found out the hotel was owned by Emily's best friend's family. The photos he had were all edited and had nothing to do with Sophia. Another charge was added to his record. This should have been Emily's victory, but as Daniel was being taken away, Sophia appeared at the hotel. Daniel had also invited her, intending for her to witness Emily's humiliation.
Are you satisfied with this outcome?
The Johnson family had already started preparing for the wedding. Emily felt nothing about it. As usual, she went to the office. Michael, unaware that she was set to marry Jason next week, approached her enthusiastically.
We've only been apart for a day, and you're already so cold to me?
Emily ignored him, focusing on her work. When it was time to leave, she saw Jason waiting in his car downstairs. Michael followed her, surprised. She turned in another direction, and Michael kept following. Seeing that Emily wasn't coming over, Jason got out of the car and ran to catch up with her, stopping her in her tracks.
Emily, we're getting married next week. Can't you forgive me for what happened last time?
I agreed to marry you, but I didn't agree to forgive you.
Emily's words hung in the air, heavy with unresolved tension.
How can I forgive you for what you did with my own sister?
Jason was silent for a long time, his face pale.
If you keep holding onto these things after we get married, it only shows you're not mature enough.
Emily wanted to slap him and ask what kind of woman he thought was mature enough. But she knew it wouldn't do any good. She walked past him and continued on her way. Michael still wanted to follow, but Jason stopped him.
Emily and I are getting married next week. If you want to attend the wedding, I can give you an invitation. After that, please stay away from her.
Despite Jason's displeasure, Michael remained calm.
Is that so? A week is still a long time. I hope you won't be disappointed this time.
Michael brushed past Jason and caught up with Emily. They ended up at the same bar as last time. This time, they didn't drink, knowing it would only make their thoughts more chaotic.
Why did you change your mind and agree to marry Jason?
Emily explained everything from the beginning. After hearing it all, Michael couldn't help but laugh.
What's so funny? Is someone else's trouble that amusing to you?
I have a way to help you, but
what?
you have to marry me.
In the dimly lit room, tension mounted as I approached my sister, Sophia, with calm determination.
Is this your way of getting back at me?
Sophia, my younger sister by a year, had always been competitive. From toys to achievements, she had to match everything I had. This time, she took my fiancé, Jason.
Sis, I'm sorry. But Jason is innocent. Please don't break up with him, okay?
Her eyes brimmed with tears, hiding a devious smile. Jason, seeing her take the blame, felt even more moved. He rushed over, grabbing my hand to apologize.
Please, forgive me.
I shook off his hand with disdain and left the room. Behind me, Jason's voice comforted Sophia. There was only one day left until the wedding. Both the Johnson family and the Smith family had everything prepared. I didn't go to the office today because Jason had taken leave for me since the day before yesterday, allowing me to stay home and get ready. Feeling a bit bored being cooped up at home, I suggested going out for a walk. Sophia volunteered to accompany me, telling our parents she would go with me. We walked aimlessly, neither of us speaking. The long silence was broken by the sudden appearance of Michael.
Hey, fancy meeting you here.
It was the first time Sophia had seen Michael, and she seemed intrigued by him. Michael and I chatted casually about everyday matters, while Sophia quietly listened by our side.
So, have you made a decision about what we discussed last time?
I looked into his eyes, thought for a moment, and then nodded firmly. Sophia looked at me with some confusion, but I didn't explain anything to her. Her gaze became even more resentful.